We see so many other signs of steroid, SARM, and or use of MK677 that my conclusion, bro is 100% natural, he took nothing, and he deadlifts over 900 pounds while being natural. Coach Greg, in today's video, is he natty or not? Previously, at the age of 15, I made a video, said, I certainly hope that this guy's natural. This kid, I do believe in the future, is going to reset those limits. Now, he hadn't at that time posted the blood work, but since that time, he's actually posted it. And what people don't know is that when you post blood work, it's very easy to see if somebody's on certain substances. They might think, my testosterone, it's in the normal range, and so that proves that I'm natural. But they don't realize is that they're actually outing themselves. 904-pound deadlift, 660-pound squat, and a 405 bench press. It says drug-tested open deadlift world record at 16. How many of you right now think that an 18-year-old can deadlift over 900 pounds, squat 660, and bench 405 while being 100% natural? Now, he states he's 100% natural, except for there was one period in his life, a couple years ago, where he took MK677 for whatever amount of weeks. Now, how many of you believe that? How many of you think he only used MK for a matter of weeks and that has resulted in him being one of the strongest people in the world at only 18 years of age and weighing under 200 pounds. I mean, how does this happen? I mean, there is a chance that he's natural. Remember, 1 in a billion or so, I'm certain that there's someone out there that could be this young and have this kind of muscle, this kind of strength. But is he in fact that person? And so let's look at the blood work. My blood work, and he's flexing. You can see the quads clearly separated. You can see he's a very young guy. And so he says, I don't know what any of this means but testosterone, and I'm going to try to raise that. And so he's posted his blood work. He states he's lifetime natural, except for that brief stint of MK use. But he doesn't know what the blood work actually means. You took MK before. Whatever you try to prove changes nothing. My personal opinion is that if he made a mistake at 16 years of age and used MK677 for whatever amount of weeks, then he can still call himself natural. Although he's not technically a lifetime natural, if he had used MK for a brief period of time years ago, I would still consider him as a natty. And so he's claiming I'm natural right now. I used it briefly, but is he? Or has he continued to use it, and has he used anything else? And so first things first, ALT and AST both high in red, painting a picture of hepatotoxin exposure. The first thing I'm seeing on the panel is 4 numbers in the red. High, BUN high, ALT high, AST high, LDL cholesterol high. At first glance, I'm thinking, this doesn't look natural. Does this prove that he's a fake natty? No, not just this. But it's leading me to believe that something is off. Hear me out. When you first start using SARMs and or steroids, you're going to see your AST go up higher, followed by your ALT. And so AST is normally higher. Now, notice both numbers are the same. They're both 52. Approximately 10 days after stopping taking SARMs and or steroids, this is typical of what you're going to notice. And so in seeing this number being exactly the same, both high, I believe that he had stopped taking SARMs and or steroids 10 days previously, and the numbers are now the same, although still high. If he continued to wait, perhaps another month, I believe these would be both back into the normal reference range. The most likely SARM that I do believe he would have taken is LGD. And the reason for that is because after 10 days of stopping to take LGD, it's more likely that you would still have testosterone in the normal reference range. If you were taking other SARMs, for example, RAD 140 or perhaps steroids like D-bol, he most likely would not have testosterone recovered enough to be in the normal range. Next, let's look at his cholesterol, LDL 113. Now, he's 18 years old, he's super fit, he's lean, he's athletic, he's in shape, he's strong. Why would his cholesterol be this bad? Now, if we're thinking, well, it's familial, it's congenital, he was given this poor genetics at birth. If that were the case, it normally would be significantly higher, and so it's most likely a secondary cause from taking something. Next, now, I want you to look at general chemistry where it says glucose, and you see his fasting glucose results are 96, and you're thinking, yeah, it's in the range. The range is 65 to 100, and normally these ranges are set 2 standard deviations from the mean. Do you really think that a healthy 18-year-old athletic person should have a fasting glucose that's pre-diabetic, that's so high that it's similar to perhaps a guy who's 60 years old and isn't really healthy? How could that be? Considering the fact that this kid has way more muscle than average, you would expect that he would have the exact opposite response. And so rather than 96, which is on the high end, you would expect it to be closer to 65 on the low end. Muscle is literally going to help prevent you from getting diabetes. And so why is he already so high? If bro is this high at 18, what will happen when he's 28? And the most likely cause of this, remember I have a video on this on MK677. Remember, he's admitted to MK677. And remember what I said about that causing your beta cells to burn out? Well, he's either continued to use MK677, and this is causing this to happen where he's already pre-diabetic with 96, or even that short-term use of MK677 has caused his ability to use glucose to go down significantly to the point where he's already bordering very, very high. And so if you're thinking, I'm 16, 17, 18, whatever, and you want to use MK677 because it's not going to shut you down, you're thinking, yeah, this is the magic pill. It's the gains pill, as Mike Israetel said. Think again. This is a very strong teenager, and he's already has this many negative side effects. Next, let's look at his SHBG, which is 25. Now, yes, it's in the normal range, but for a teenager who has a lot of muscle and is very lean, that is very, very low. When you're on performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, SARMs, and so on, it lowers SHBG. And so if prior to this he'd taken LGD, this would have caused a suppression of SHBG, and so that could have resulted in him having such a low number. Natural guys who have taken nothing typically are not going to see SHBG as low as 25, unless, of course, that they're bulking and they're on a very high calorie diet. But let's look at his physique. Does he look fat? As a rule of thumb, if you see somebody who's very, very lean with a lot of muscle, expect if they're natural to have SHBG above 30. Notice he tested his PSA at his age. Not very useful. I mean, does bro gonna have a large prostate at the age of 18? But rather than that, I don't see LH or FSH, which would be very helpful in deciding is he natty or not. And so without LH and FSH, it's difficult to be conclusive, but if the person is avoiding showing that or they're not testing that and trying to prove that they're natural, then they're essentially missing out on one of the most important parts of the test. But despite this, despite the fact we don't see LH and FSH, we see so many other signs of steroid, SARM, and or use of MK677 that my conclusion, bro is a fake natty. Best guess, or what I do believe to have occurred, is that he has either long-term damage from using MK677 or has continued to use it and is currently suffering damage, that likely he's going to develop diabetes much younger in his career than he would have had he not used that, and that he also likely took a SARM, which is very strong, known as LGD, and discontinued its use 10 days prior to getting tested, and these are the results. Or bro is 100% natural, he took nothing, and his body is just all f***ed up, and he deadlifts over 900 pounds while being natural. If you're a teenager, you're only 16, 17, 18 years of age, I don't even recommend that you take Turk Builder Max or Turk Platinum. In my opinion, you're too young. And so if I don't even recommend you take supplements from Harder Than Last Time, why would you take growth hormone secretagogues that are not approved for human consumption? Really, think about it. And one more thing. His hemoglobin is at 16.3, probably around the 95th percentile. In other words, it's very, very high. And you know what causes higher hemoglobin levels? Anything that's an androgen, for example, a SARM, for example, LGD. And so if he took this LGD, it would have increased his hemoglobin to a very high level. And then he discontinued it for 10 days, but yet the hemoglobin is still very high. 95th percentile. And so it's not damning evidence, this on its own, but when you add this to the other factors, it paints the picture that bro most likely not natural. Now, if you compare my analysis to something like what the Catabolic Twig would do or Philion or Revival Fitness, they're automatically going to just say fake natty. No matter what, they don't need any evidence. They don't need blood work. They don't even believe in blood work. They think that it's a conspiracy to hide everything. I went over the blood work, and I'm telling you, unbiased. My first natty or not on this guy, did I not say that I believed he was natural? I didn't have any blood work to go by. I was just saying, hey, it's possible. But now that I've seen the blood work, I believe he's a fake natty. And so I'm not biased. You're thinking, yeah, I'm biased. Really. When I say that Hussein, Julian, or Jeff Nippard's natural, you're thinking, oh, I'm just collaborating them. I'm covering for them. But then when I say somebody like Prosper Fitness is a fake natty, oh, you're just jealous. And so pick one. If I say they're a fake natty, you say I'm jealous of their physique. If I say that they're natural, you say I'm covering for them. And so no matter what answer I give, you're all going to say I'm a hater. If I make a video and say this guy deadlifts 900 pounds and he's natural, you're going to say I'm covering for him. If I say that he's not natural, you're going to say that I'm jealous because he deadlifts more than me. It can't be both. Now, if you're interested in getting blood work done or prescribed medications at a much cheaper price than many other places, for example, Merrick Health, you don't want to have to go to the doctor. You want cheaper prices, for example, Cialis, Viagra, and so on. You can go to Algo RX. I'm now with the company, and I strongly recommend them for the cheapest prices, professional service. And so if you're interested, click the link in the description, and if you use code Greg, you get 10% off. Looking for coaching, you can get me, of course, by clicking the link in the description. Any of the supplements you can get for 15% off using code Greg. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like the video, watch those 2 bloops, at least watch one of them. If you want to get the cookbooks, if you want to get the coaching plans, the training books, the Circle Diet book, the clothing line, you can get all that on the website. Don't forget code Greg for 15% off. And until next time, I am out.